Guys of a Certain Age is brought to you by no one. Absolutely no one. Except these dudes walking down memory lane. Now let's head to the studio to see what they misremember next.
It's the only podcast that's really exempt from Doge because, you know, we're wasteful, but we don't spend anything. It's Robbie Koblenz, Guys of a Certain Age, alongside...
Do I have to get my name now? Art Shirley.
Everybody knows your name. And special guest...
Stefan Tribble. Yeah, you told me I was getting paid, though.
You're getting paid in gratitude and Monopoly money.
That's better than the day job.
Yeah, this is also the podcast that if you whine long enough, we'll put you on. Exhibit A, Stefan
right.
Tribble. Every time.
Stefan, if we make it past 6 years, we'll have you on.
Well,
thinking.
Here we are, 6 years later. So, anyway, how we doing this morning, guys? It's cold outside.
It is cold. Maybe this is the last cold snap before.
Oh, don't lie.
We'll have something in March. We'll have snow in March.
We'll have one snow in March.
Yeah. Over spring break.
Did you get that one night in March snow in March?
I get it.
Oh, man. I expect more from you.
I did. It was delayed.
He's trying to push that documentary for sure.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I was talking about doing a history of the Mennonite Church in Mississippi, and Art goes, that should be one Mennonite in March. Yeah, that was kind of funny. You taking notes, Art?
Yes.
Okay.
One Mennonite in March.
Let's jump into some Geeks of the Week. We have no idea if Stefan's going to participate or not. So that means that
I'll go first.
Okay. Art will go first.
All right. Just saw this morning. You may have seen it already, but it looks like Marvel may not be done with Kang the Conqueror.
Really?
Really?
I haven't seen that yet.
Okay. This was on Geek Tyrant, usually my source for these kind of things. But it will not be Jonathan Majors. What they're going to do is they're going to bring the character back.
It's going to be Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. is going to play. No, actually, the guy they're getting to play him is, let me make sure I get his real name right here, Tremel Tillman. Does that name ring a bell with you?
Jackson State alum.
Jackson State alum,
That's
Tremel
right.
Tillman. Yeah.
Oh, he would be
Who is
great.
currently playing Seth Milchick on Severance, and it's just great. It was one of my favorite characters on that show. Are you watching Severance?
I am, yes.
Yeah. So I haven't seen the latest episode, so don't spoil that for me.
I haven't either.
Yeah, so
I tried to get Bonnie to watch it. We watched episode 2 of season 1 last night. She's like, I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm
really?
done.
Yeah, okay. Becky likes it. We have to wait on Will to come with us because he's watching it as well. He'll be here tonight, so we'll watch it. But yeah, Seth Milchick is playing him, and apparently what they're doing is
it's Tremel Tillman is going to play him.
Yeah, Tremel Tillman is playing him. Yeah, although that would be hilarious.
Kang at a waffle party.
And his sidekick, Kang's sidekick, Mrs. Wong, will be on there as well. So that's a Severance reference.
Yes, that is a Severance reference.
But they're using it to say goodbye to Kang. They originally were going to have Avengers,
the Kang Dynasty. Yeah.
Is it now the Doom Dynasty? Or is it just...
I think it's Doomsday.
Doomsday, that's right. Okay.
Well, if they're going to bring Tremel in, it should be the Waffle Dynasty.
The Waffle Dynasty, yes. I think there's going to be a party with the balloons and a vinyl
and
record.
a cart of melons.
Yeah, that's right. And he'll have a film camera wrapped around his neck. Anyway, looking forward to seeing that. So basically that's what they're doing is they're bringing him back as Kang, a variant version of Kang, and going to get rid of the character. Probably Doomsday, or Dr. Doom, rather, will kill him in Doomsday.
I'm reading this off Geek Tyrant, so that would be kind of cool.
I think it'd be kind of cool.
Tremel Tillman has been great. What else has he been in?
I looked to see there's nothing I recognized.
I'm going to do his IMDb, see if there's anything. But Jackson State alone. Jackson State should be playing up the fact that
they should have him down for.
They should. They absolutely should. So what's? Yeah, Elementary. He was in one episode of Elementary. So he's in Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
Okay, so that's coming up this summer.
That's coming up. Yeah. So it looks like he's only been active for the last 10 years or so.
Yeah, he's 39. So
okay, interesting. I don't know where he's from.
I think it's in Ohio.
No, D.C.
Oh, he's born in Washington, D.C.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So, and he lives in Largo, Maryland. So I've got to do a shoot in Maryland coming out. So
maybe you can call him.
Probably not.
Yeah.
What would I call him? Would I call him Seth, Tremel, or Kang?
Tremel.
Yeah. Yeah. Tremel the Conqueror. So that looks pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I think he would be perfect as Kang.
Yeah, I'd like to see him play
the
role.
Yeah, he'll be on screen for 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's right.
Did either one of you guys see Captain America?
No,
this week?
I wanted to go see this weekend. Haven't seen it.
Thursday it's going to happen. Yep.
You're seeing it Thursday? Have you seen it yet?
No, I'd like to go see it at some point over the next few days.
Holler at me, because
Art!
wait, I think I hear Robbie hollering.
Just come
at me.
Thursday. It'll be my wife and I, and y'all can just sit right behind us.
No.
Okay,
That's okay.
Like the old guys from the Muppet Show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I definitely want to see it, and Becky's kind of had middling interest in seeing it. She said she'd go see it with me, but she said that sounds like something the guys of a certain age should go see.
I'm going to see what she says. So,
Yeah.
By the way, did the funds I sent your way, did they make it to your wife?
They have not yet
for the Hamilton
they
tickets.
have not yet, but they'll make it to Will.
Can we acknowledge on air that I did pay you for the Hamilton tickets?
Yes. Stefan, you can be our witness for this.
I saw the exchange. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So Becky, Will, he's got the money. So, he's also sporting a new Apple Watch Ultra.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, she's got the Apple. It's not an Ultra, but she does have the new Apple Watch.
Yeah.
I got
The newest new?
No, one of the newer ones. What is it, 9 or something?
It's 10. Series 10 is
10,
out
yeah,
now.
okay.
Or maybe Series 11. I can't remember. So,
Yeah.
And supposedly Apple's going to be dropping an iPhone SE the next 24 to 48 hours
Okay.
as we record.
Yep.
So, which is kind of weird that you're dropping something in February. But that's not my geek. So
What?
No, it's not my geek. Do you have a geek of the week there, Stefan?
I mean, I guess that would be my geek. Would be as I was browsing Mac rumors this morning. Obviously, the little February event, just seeing what's going to happen. But I didn't really prepare a geek of the week.
Will that be phones and iPads?
No,
That's usually later in the year, right?
The rumor. What I've seen on Mac Rumors is it's just basically an iPhone 15 SE is what
Okay.
it is. So
and they typically always talk about software stuff. Basically,
this time of year. Right.
WWDC
Because
is
they've already
software.
had the
And some-
hardware's where we got the new Mac Minis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's rumors that the iPad Pro will not get the M4 Pro chip.
Okay.
So we're kind of waiting on a new iPad Pro, even though mine's doing great. Good little iPad Pro.
What chip do you have in yours?
Oh gosh, I don't.
Is it an M flavor though?
I don't really know. I think it might be. It's the. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. So I'm looking. It's an iPad Pro 12.9. I think it. Yeah, it's got to be an M chip because all the iPhone.
Yep.
Yeah.
In the latest last year or two, definitely.
This is the 6th generation iPad, so it's been good.
Yeah, so anyways, I guess Tim Cook teased a launch on Wednesday, February 19th that says, get ready to meet the newest member of the family. So whatever that
Okay,
means, Apple
yeah.
launch. But obviously rumors are speculating. Adding another phone to the lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, it's
Tons of variants now.
It's the M5 chip getting to the MacBook Pro. So there's also rumors of a new iMac.
With a large screen.
Yeah,
I see that.
Well, not a 27 inch, but maybe a 33.
Yeah, you see that every once in a while, and the aspect ratio is going to be a wider aspect ratio.
Yeah, we've talked about it. So I haven't had a Mac, personal MacBook in a while. I died a couple years ago and never replaced it, just using the wife's and a few other, just the family ones that we have. But we've talked about if the new iMac comes out with a much larger screen, that'd
Supposed
probably
to be a 32 inch. What Apple had basically said, oh, you don't need an iMac, a large screen iMac. Just get a Mac Studio and our XDR Pro display.
Yeah, get the $6,000 display. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Now, what we're looking at work is doing the Mac Mini,
Yeah.
the high-end Mac Mini, and then getting like a Dell
And
widescreen, one of the
Just put that thing in your back pocket when you leave,
So seriously, it's about as
is
portable
tiny.
as anything else, and you can get little USB powered monitors now that are 15, 17 inches, whatever you need.
Yep.
Throw it all in a briefcase, and you've got basically a better laptop.
Yeah, you could just show up to Starbucks and just set up your whole workstation.
Absolutely,
I guess, or
yeah.
something like that.
That's right, as long as you've got power. Mm-hmm. So
Yeah, that's the thing. You have to have. You don't have the battery power.
Bring like a little Anchor battery pack. Sit it on the table next to it.
here's my inverter here, guys. Hold on, let me
Got
crank.
the Honda
Let me crank up. Hope you don't mind diesel. Boom, boom.
That's the one drawback.
Yeah, that's the one drawback. Yeah, remember back in the old days when you had the Mac Classic the one handle Mac Classic design.
And that showed it putting it in the carrying case. Yeah.
Well, I actually had a 32-liter tub like you'd get from Walmart. And I would put it in there, and I'd put it in my truck.
But they actually had a padded carrying case you could carry. You know.
Robbie was cheap though. He just bought the.
Robbie was cheap back in the day.
Well, you spent all your money on the Mac at that point because they were not cheap.
Nope, they were not. So, my geek is that it looks like Dungeons and Dragons, the TV show, is coming back. So there was a pitch to Paramount Plus. Hasbro was trying to do a live-action D&D show. And with Paramount Plus's pivots, now it's basically the Taylor Sheridan channel.
Yeah.
So Netflix supposedly is going to pick up the option with Sean Levy, still hot off the blockbuster success of Deadpool and Wolverine, because he directed that, as the showrunner. So,
what Patsby Paramount?
Netflix.
Netflix. You said.
Yeah. Okay. See, he doesn't listen to me.
No.
Well, you said something about Paramount.
Well, I said it was originally going to be a Paramount Plus. They axed it.
Yeah.
And so now it looks like Netflix is picking
He's
it
pulling
up.
double duty. He's doing notes.
I'm trying to do notes. This is why Jay doesn't talk.
No, there's other reasons why Jay doesn't talk, and it's because we really don't.
But I saw some people where this is effectively killing any sequel to the Chris Pine D&D movie, which I enjoyed. I thought was fun.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. That was a lot of fun. Apparently, this is going to be a Forgotten Realms adventure. So I don't know if you, Stefan, you play? You weren't geeky enough to play D&D.
Well, no, I'm terrible at any kind of games whatsoever. So
yeah, I have that same kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, so Forgotten Realms is kind of the campaign universe that kind of rejuvenated D&D back in the day. So
actually, when you mentioned Paramount, I went to YouTube TV, which is, I think they've made a temporary negotiation right now with CBS Paramount to try to keep those 23 channels that were about to be gone right after the rate increase. I'm like,
although I will say at this point it's probably just cheaper to go back to cable.
So we're starting to make those.
Direct TV is more expensive now.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I love my YouTube TV. So I like the interface.
That's what Becky said. I said we could go back to Hulu. She goes, I really would prefer to stay with YouTube. And we have Paramount we have all those shows anyway through a Walmart subscription thing that we do.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, losing CBS and CBS or Paramount affiliate networks at this time of the year, you're playing with fire with NCAA.
Yep. Exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah. So there will be mass exodus of YouTube
because
TV.
You lose the whole March Madness stuff.
Yeah. Everybody will be going to FUBU. Kick the FUBU out of you. So, but anyway, So D&D.
When's that supposed to?
Who knows?
Okay.
So it's in. I think
it's on Netflix, as you said, which means they may do one season and go, this is very successful. We're going to drop it.
And then they may do 20 seasons.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
So, but anyway, Steph, before we get into the last half of the show, what are you binging right now? Because we have this conversation from time to time.
That is a good question. Currently, just started on Night Agent. That's a Netflix show.
You like that?
Is this the second season of this?
Second season.
Okay,
just started,
I haven't watched it. I need to watch the second season.
I've been doing that, and then trying to just catch up on the Severance or the other few things. Especially sometimes my work travels, it inhibits.
It's hard to do.
Yeah.
So what else are you watching?
That's really, honestly, I don't have anything else at the moment.
I saw that the next season of Reacher, which I guess is season 4.
Yep, I'm waiting for that.
Is that season 4?
I don't know. We haven't seen any of it.
You haven't watched any of it?
I have not watched Reacher.
Great
yet.
books too. Lee Child books. I read all.
Bonnie loves.
Yeah, and I think she would
Reacher.
like this Reacher.
I'm sure she would.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of getting around to it.
Definitely waiting on that one. And then what's the other one I'm thinking of? We have Reacher, Night Agent, and then The Diplomat.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Have you seen the new season?
I have.
Yeah,
So I was just caught up on that. That's probably what the other thing I was binging. I'm finished with it, but I had just caught up.
There's so much West Wing DNA in The Diplomat.
Correct. Yep.
So Bradley Whitford is going to be in season 3 of The Diplomat.
I feel like it's definitely West Wing with a little bit of House of Cards in there, but not quite as dark.
Let me just sing the praises of Paradise again on Hulu.
Yeah.
You need to be watching it.
I started that, and I can't remember. It got interrupted. It wasn't that we didn't want to watch it.
You need to watch it.
No, I tell you what it was. We were watching it, and I said, this is something I need to pay attention to. I cannot watch, as I look at my iPhone. And so I said, I'm going to come back and watch this later.
You need to watch it again.
Yeah.
So it's great. it's not what you think it
And
is.
it's just three episodes, right?
I think episode 5's drop. It's going to
Okay.
be 6 episodes. Episode 5's dropping tonight.
Yeah, I think there were 3 when I was going to look, because I dropped 3 originally, I think.
I dropped 2 originally.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I think episode 5 is dropping tonight. It's going to be a 6 episode first season. So I'm rewatching The Expanse on Amazon Prime, and just what an amazing show.
Yeah, I started rewatching that over the winter break, and
I love The Expanse. The books are great. I'm a huge fan of the books. So, but yeah, a lot of fun. So, all right, we're going to take a break. We're going to talk to Stefan in his alter ego life, working at the Super Bowl, and his middle name is not Kendrick. We'll find out what it is up next. And we're back. Art, Robbie, and special guest Stefan. Stefan, you have finally wallowed your way onto the show.
Yeah.
Every
Is it
time
anything you dreamed of and more?
It is. The studio is phenomenal. The green room was amazing.
Yeah.
well, this is a green room.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
is it?
Yeah, no. It's, every time Robbie posts,
every
time.
time.
I said, well, if you want a real guest, just let me know. And finally, he said I was desperate enough, and he decided to bring me on. Either that, or he had no better options.
Well, a little bit of both, and the fact that I just knew that Mississippi State was going to get blown out by Ole Miss in Oxford Saturday, and I couldn't handle 2 Ole Miss people on the other side of the desk today. So I had.
You have little faith. I knew they were going to pull it out.
Oh,
Sweet.
Whatever. Yeah, no, you're a liar. You're a liar.
I didn't know it was on.
Do you
until it was
kiss
over.
your mother with that mouth? That was just horrible. So you didn't know what?
I didn't know it was on until it was over.
Yeah.
So, yeah. We were watching Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary.
It was way over before
the music. The music.
The music one. That was actually.
I preferred the
some of it.
music one to the one last night, and I enjoyed the one last night. But I thought the music one was very well produced. And whether you're a fan or not, you need to go through and watch the opening montage mashup of clips from over the years.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I have not seen it. No, I need to.
You need to find that. That's about 5 minutes long.
I've
but
got a
it's-
Peacock subscription, so.
Oh, do you really?
Well, David does. We may or may not be, login sharing at our house with that. So, but
Yeah.
Anyway, well, and the basketball game was great too. So,
For some. Not so much for others.
for the good guys,
Yeah.
Correct.
For the good guys. So, but Stefan, when I plucked him from obscurity at Mississippi State and taught him all the ways of video,
Of course.
he decides to leave me to go to ESPN. Then he comes back and he works for Mississippi State. Then he gets the cushiest job available, working for Ross. Well, describe what you do and who you do it for.
Yeah. So I guess when I moved back here after I said I'm tired of Robbie and I can no longer work with him.
Well,
left him.
no.
Wait.
No. That's when you moved.
Yes.
You decided, I miss Robbie. I've got to get closer.
And now I moved back. Yeah, I moved back and worked for Mississippi State for many years.
So how long did you work for Robbie?
About
Year and a half.
Okay. Yeah, year and a half.
Maybe. Typical.
yeah,
Then they
typical.
burn out.
It seems longer for some reason.
It does. It's felt like
And
5 years.
I don't mean that. I'm not making a joke,
Yeah.
but it just seems like you
I
you
can't
were
cut your-
around. You did so much.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything at all.
I kept the edit C warm is what I did.
Yeah.
That was about it. Yeah.
Anywho's, so I worked at Mississippi State for many years in their athletic department with broadcast operations, and then, as Robbie said, I don't necessarily say it's the cushiest job, but it's a pretty good job.
It's a good gig that you
I
got.
now work for a company called Ross Video. It's based out of Canada. We're one of the largest broadcast equipment manufacturers in the world.
Do you have to speak Canadian when you're on a conference call and go, poutine?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Anywho's, so I work for Ross Video as a project manager of solutions in our sports and live events department. So
He's a solution looking for a problem.
correct, yes. So that's a very generic title to say I do a lot of random things. But yeah, so our specialty is sports and live events. So whether that's permanent installs or special events.
So do you get 4th of July off?
Yes, actually, I have 4th of July off. They do respect American holidays, and we get Canadian holidays. Like technically, today for us is a family holiday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How do they feel about becoming the 51st state?
I don't know if I'm at liberty to speak of that.
Probably not. Probably should steer away from that. So, but last weekend, you were in New Orleans doing something.
Yeah, and many weekends before that. 17 days I was in New Orleans.
Okay.
Some people don't live after that.
Yeah, it was a long time there. But yeah, so I was at the Super Bowl.
How many beignets did you consume?
We only went twice. Some of us have to work, Robbie. It wasn't all fun.
If we're there 2 days, Bonnie and I were going to Cafe Du Monde 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got out there twice. Had a few people on the crew and a few people with us working that had never been there. So, of course, we had to get them there.
Did they have a good experience?
They did. Had to get them a little hat. Some mediocre coffee, but very good beignets.
But what were you doing in New Orleans?
Yeah, so, we work in the Super Bowl. There's about 5 of us from our company that was there. We were working with the NFL in a company called Van Wagner, which is another company that many people probably have heard of. But
didn't that star Ryan Reynolds? No, that was Van Wilder.
Van Wilder. Yeah. Van Wagner. Yeah, so they're a large scale event production company. And they do a lot of the major events that people don't realize it. But the Final Fours and this NCAA college football championships and Super Bowls. And
so
everything
what
else.
are they doing for them?
So they're handling all the in-venue productions. So basically anything that's happening in the venue that the fans would see on all the LED displays and all the fascias or the ribbons and all that stuff, and all what we call the host show. So there is a whole other show that is happening outside of the broadcast that happens nationally, but there's a whole broadcast and a whole production that happens inside the venue, and making sure that the venue itself looks the way it needs to look for the event, for the game, for the fans.
So if you paid $6,000 for a ticket to get in, what you're seeing inside the Superdome is coming through your equipment that you might have touched at some point.
Yes. So we typically, when it happens, is we take over all the in-venue displays and systems and control rooms. So Van Wagner will come in and assess, and they have their own engineering staff and production staff that will then determine what they need to do, and they'll build out facilities if needed to expand. So at the Superdome, for instance, I can go into a little bit of detail. They have one central control room in the Superdome that controls all of the in-venue production, and we need technically 2 control rooms to do a Super Bowl show. We have what we call the game production, and then we have what we call a fan or the host show. So what happens is they have the larger control room that will produce the game as it's happening. So all the replays, follow the action, all the stats and stuff that you see up on the displays will be coming from there. And then once they toss it to break or pregame, leading out of halftime, any of the sponsored elements, any of the celebrity stuff, any of the interviews, all happen out of what they call a host show or a fan show control room. So they actually built a full temporary control room with 10 to 12 positions and monitors and equipment just to do the secondary show, and the control rooms will kind of ping-pong back and forth throughout the game. But with that, a lot of our equipment is used to drive the in-venue systems. So my company, Ross Video, subcontracts with them, and we provide.
So back in the old days, we'd call it the Jumbotron crew.
Correct, yeah. You don't, but we don't use the term Jumbotron since that's it's like Kleenex. So that's why I say video board or LED displays. I'll just go generic.
Yeah, but it's a Jumbotron.
Yeah. So my company works with Van Wagner and the NFL, and we provide all of the in-venue technology and servers that will ultimately drive the displays.
So you got to New Orleans 2.5 weeks before the event, right?
January 26th, I arrived. Myself and another coworker, who was actually my boss, we came in early. We're part of the technical crew, and then we have 4 additional people that came down a couple days later who handle all of the creative. So Van Wagner and the NFL will create the content, and then we have staff that translate it all.
You're dropping in servers, running cables. You're getting everything ready to drive those venue boards in the Super.
Yeah, we had 18 servers functioning at any one time to drive all of those displays, as well as a lot of routing gear and stuff that we make. And the Superdome itself actually has our equipment already. They have a system that's made by us that is the same system that we brought in. But typically for these large events, we want to have multiple systems running at one time. A, for redundancy if something was to happen, but also there's a lot of events that happen. It's not just the single game that happens on Super Bowl on that Sunday. There's tons of events that happen leading up to that in the venue. There's a thing we call opening night that happens on the Monday night before. That's when all the teams arrive in. And they have a media availability, and there's some kind of small concert stuff that's happening in there, and there's there's a whole production that happens, and so there's a system that we bring in that drives just that. So that way we don't have to take away from the actual game day prep. So the operators can still be preparing for the game, putting content in, designing things for the actual game. And then also throughout the week, there's tons of advertising opportunities and advertising events and tours that happen that need to have logos or names or content up. So at any one time, there were 3 different systems that could ultimately drive all of those displays and systems internally. And we basically built all that out that we could easily swap between that basically with the push of a button.
Now, when you get there originally, have you all already assessed what you're going to need? Or are you going hitting the ground running when you get there?
To be honest, we had a meeting already while we were down there to discuss next year Super Bowl in Santa Clara. So same thing happened the previous year when we were in Las Vegas. We had a brief meeting, just a very pen and paper scratch.
Okay.
What are we thinking we need to do for the next Super Bowl? And then there's a little gap after we do that. And then normally in the summer, we'll start actually planning. So there'll be some site visits that people will go on to visit. We do rely on Van Wagner. I mean, they're the ones who take the charge and they're the ones who hire us. But they will assess those things. They will build out. They received our kits they had been there about a week and a half.
Okay,
before.
So you don't show up in a truck with equipment, right?
Yep.
That all is
it has
delivered?
already been delivered from our facilities. We have rental facilities. So we've already shipped that in, and then their engineering staff has already at least placed it where it needs to go.
Okay.
We'll do some of the
You'll
final
hook up?
connections
Okay.
once we're there. But they were there probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks before we even arrived. So early January.
So setup starts roughly a month ahead of the big event.
Yes, for sure.
And then talk about the 2-3 days prior to. Talk about, because you rehearsal for pregame, rehearsal for halftime. Because even though there's separate equipment that was driven for halftime. Correct. You got to see all this stuff 24, 48 hours ahead of time.
Correct, yeah. A lot of the real rehearsals start Tuesday. So after opening night concludes, there are some step-throughs earlier in the weekends, the week before, but really after opening night concludes on Monday night, Tuesday morning we come in and we start stepping through. They want to start looking. NFL Creative wants to look at sponsor content to make sure it looks correct. They don't need to make any edits. Yeah. And then that's really when a lot of the hardcore halftime rehearsals start happening. Those typically happen in the evening. Again, as Robbie said, we don't, and I've spoken to him about this already, we don't actually provide the content or drive the halftime shows. That is actually a whole separate system and crew. Now that their systems and their playout servers and all the stuff that drives that does ultimately feed through our systems and back out, but we basically hand that off to a whole separate company that actually handles the halftime. So there's a delicate coordination throughout, the week and during the game to hand off to various systems that need to run. But yes, a lot of the rehearsals. I mean, there's pretty much every day starting Tuesday leading up to the game is basically, there's a schedule every day of hour by hour what we're going to be doing and what we're rehearsing. It really hits Thursday. We do what we call a full game simulation. So it's kind of neat. We actually have an Xbox that's playing Madden, and we actually put.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, there's actually Madden will play the game in its entirety.
Did it make it as one-sided as it turned out to be?
No, it did not. Their actually score was very close. And again, it has no, obviously it has.
It's just to get you the timing.
It's just to get us the timing down, to let us practice going through a game. I mean, a lot of these crew and people that are there are, it's a combination of local freelancers, people that already work in the venue, people that work the Super Bowl every year with Van Wagner. So it's a lot of people that need to coordinate together that may have not worked together before, and so then we're obviously need to simulate a game and make sure that all the stats, data, and all the content and all the commercial breaks happen. So
that's a great way to test that.
That happens. Yeah. And then Friday, it's basically we started at 7:30 in the morning and we went till 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and every minute of every hour was scripted to have some kind of rehearsal, whether that was pregame rehearsal, national anthem, America the Beautiful, the VLT stage.
Were those performers who did it Sunday, were they there rehearsing?
They were, yeah. And even all the halftime. So all the different people
so
you
saw
saw.
That?
We typically see the halftime show ahead of time. Obviously, it's very much a closed rehearsal. We try to get out of there before it really starts kicking off, but we do see portions of it as we're wrapping up our day and they take over because they typically work into the night with a lot of their stuff. But yeah, all the performers, all the people that did all the pregame elements were there for actual real rehearsals leading up to it, and they for sure had to be there Friday. And we stepped through multiple elements.
So halftime is a whole different crew.
Correct.
For everything.
Cameras. The only cameras they share is they'll take whoever the host broadcaster is. So this year, Fox. They took their cart cam and
What's a cart cam?
Cart cam. So a cart cam, for those that don't know, is literally a cart that has a camera on it. So it's on the sidelines. It's a little driven cart that someone's sitting on, and there's kind of a pneumatic lift that has a person sitting up on top of it.
And it's not good if you're in a bulldog bully
Yes, exactly.
costume as a
get run
mascot around that, because you might get run over and get your leg broken.
Yeah.
That happened.
Yeah, that happened. Was that 14? When was that?
It was, it wasn't too, I mean, it wasn't.
Sometime in the last 10 years.
Yeah, last 10 years for sure.
Yeah. Anyway.
So they'll typically share a few things, but for the most part, that whole production crew has a completely separate truck.
Yeah.
They're not in any way, none of the people that are doing the actual game broadcast have anything to do really with the halftime show. Full different directors, crews, camera people, everything that all get brought in. And what's unique is they actually have to set that stage up, and they practice this multiple times, because a lot of it's volunteers that come in to help set, ultimately set some of those things up. They have the core crew, but it's like they can get it set up in like 6 minutes, which is crazy.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. Wow.
So I read an article. Fox used about 103 cameras total, all Sony cameras.
Yep.
Now, did Fox provide the feed? Obviously, Fox provided the domestic feed. Yep. There's an international feed as well.
Yeah, that all comes back. I mean, Fox, as the way I understand it, most host broadcasters will provide what they call a world feed, which is like a clean feed that doesn't have any of their branding on it, and none of their talent. But a lot of the rights are owned by other broadcasters. Sky Sports, ESPN, for instance, actually does broadcast the Super Bowl. You just don't see it here. It's in other countries. So ESPN has a presence on site. The truck compound, which is where all the production trucks and all the production offices are, is massive. It took over a very large portion of the Smoothie King parking lot, which is the arena right next to.
Yeah, that's where the Pelicans play.
Where the Pelicans play. So it was massive. It's I couldn't tell you how many trucks. There's tons and tons of trucks there. So that's the unique thing about it is the coordination that happens, and then even the in-venue broadcast takes some of the feeds from Fox. So a lot of the pregame elements, so any of the big moments, like America the Beautiful, the national anthem, some of the game presentation elements pregame is not done by the in-house. We actually coordinate, and they hand that over to Fox. Fox is placed on the LED display, so that way everybody has one unified look of what's happening and actually what's that. And then obviously once we get into the game, we take over, we do our thing, Fox does their thing, but there is some coordination that happens back and forth.
Because, you guys... Well, you've got a separate crew with separate cameras to shoot. You've got a high sideline shot. You've got some end zone shots and whatnot. That's a separate crew than the Fox crew.
There was about, I believe the in-venue had around 15 or 16 cameras. Yeah. And then we had access to most of the Fox cameras as well. So we don't obviously control what they're doing, but for replay purposes, you can pick up the feeds for replay purposes and things of that nature. It's a pretty unique environment and production. There was probably 150 plus people working just on the in-venue show.
Talk about security of this Super Bowl versus others.
Yeah.
Bonnie and I were down when the event happened in Bourbon Street. We left like 12 hours prior to. And you've done a lot of large events. Talk about the security in and out, how this was different.
Yeah, and that was something that was very unique. Something that was very unique for us. We've definitely... Working the past Super Bowls, for instance, last year in Vegas, which is a large city, and they host a lot of large events, and that's obviously a potential for, a terrorist attack. But the security is always there. You just don't necessarily see it. Yeah. I felt like this year at the Super Bowl, it was visible. Yeah. And I think because of one of the main reasons was obviously the prior events that happened, unfortunately, over the New Year's time in New Orleans. But we did make it down to Canal and to Bourbon Street one or two nights to have dinner here and there, and there was visible
dinner. That's what the kids are calling it. We went to have dinner,
daiquiris and other stuff. Anyways, there was visible police officers, but also National Guard almost at every intersection. There was National Guard, and there were police officers. Even if there was not anybody in the vehicle, there was a police vehicle with their lights on at every block, basically.
Yeah, okay.
And a unique thing about these events anyways is that there is a security perimeter that's erected normally about a week. It definitely shows a week, but up to a week and a half out, there's already barricades that are already there in place in and around the stadium. And you actually have to have you have to credentials to obviously get past a lot of those barricades. So the hotel that we were in was actually inside the perimeter. So we actually had to walk kind of out of some of the barricaded perimeters to even get to, say, an Uber.
He was in the compound.
But then, as the week leads on, you get closer to it, the security gets a little tighter and tighter and tighter. And then obviously this year, with the announcement that POTUS was going to show up as well and be in attendance, that escalated, obviously, security, sweeps and everything like that. And typically that game day actual security entrance process is much more. They actually, as opposed to, a private security firm who, we've seen at all kind of events that you go to, doesn't matter. College event or a pro event, you're going to go through some kind of metal
Taylor's
detector.
People.
Probably Taylor security. The question was who had more security, Taylor or you have to go through security scanners and all that stuff, and they always have some contract security there. But in this event, we actually went through actual TSA security, so they actually had real TSA agents that were brought in that manned every single.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, well, that's kind of.
Did you lose any luggage on the way?
So the security was for sure much more ramped up, I think, just in general because of what happened, and then obviously as some of the higher profile, even more.
So talk about dress code, because I've kind of made fun of you about that.
I was in a suit, so we typically, it's normally business. You're wearing suits. I went a little more casual, had no tie on. A few people on our team had bow ties and a few other things because they were more sitting and operating in a static position overlooking the fields. Just because of my movement and having to move around different places. I did wear suits, but had no tie on. So
So does that come from the NFL or does that come from Ross?
A combination of
Van Wagner.
A combination of a little bit of everybody. And there is some minimum kind of what the NFL would expect for us to wear, like a business casual. You will see. A lot of the camera guys are not wearing suits. Obviously, they need to be in show blacks. So they to be in black pants with black shirt, or actually what I have on now, which is a Super Bowl zip-up jacket that's black. So that was acceptable to wear for.
So did they give that to you?
They did, yes.
Did that come from the NFL?
The NFL distributes it all, but the Van Wagner gave it to us.
Gotcha. Very nice.
So they typically, most of us would have to be in some kind of show blacks, and then dark clothing, obviously, for the actual event. But most people in the control room were asked to be in business casual, or for those in certain positions and more elevated. If you're going to be seen in the public and you're going to be moving around, having a suit on would be good. One other unique thing about the security is the credentialing process. They're weeks leading up to it, they actually have 3 different types of credentials. They have the advanced one, which is just kind of a generic pass that, obviously you still go through kind of some security procedures, but they give out because there's tons and tons of people that are, they're moving barricades in. There's janitorial staff. There's people that are just trying to get things ready. There's, people applying signs and stuff. So no people that will actually be there on game day, but people way ahead of time that need to have access to the site and the facility. So they provide an advanced credential. And then as we get into the week before, we have what we call a pre-week credential, which is a completely separate one. It has our face on it. It has all the little numbers and letters of where we can and cannot go. For instance, I actually had field access during pre-week time, so I could walk on the field. Obviously, my game day credential had 0 field access.
So you couldn't streak on the field?
No, I couldn't.
It's probably good for all of us.
And then we have an actual game day credential, which is completely separate from the pre-week. So you actually have to have 3 different credentials to work or access during that time. So,
Now, the most important question. How was the food in the venue?
Surprisingly good. It was good. I had some Cajun food while I was down there. A little loaded hot dog or a loaded sausage, like an andouille sausage with some etouffee on top. It was actually pretty good.
So did you get to eat food press box, you're going to have food there. And I've read some reports of some of the food, some of the things that they pulled in, some of the sports reporters. There was a food preview day, maybe Tuesday night or something like that.
They showed all the food that they're going to have in the concession stands. We have catered food. In the control room especially, because our days start pretty early. They open up the doors like 5 hours before game time. So there's tons of things that have to be done early in the day. So most of our food was obviously catered ahead of time, and then just in the control room area, where it's kind of just the buffet style where you could pick some food, and then once we got closer to game time, they provided box lunches for everybody because obviously you can't really move around. That's the best thing to do to feed people.
At the Super Bowl, you get a box lunch.
But still some other good food. I was able to get out and find.
He
some
went to
concessions.
dinner.
Yeah, I went to
Did you
dinner.
hear that?
He went to dinner,
Yeah.
quote unquote.
Yeah, I had some good dinners though. In New Orleans.
Where'd you guys eat?
A couple. Pesh is a good restaurant in New Orleans. It's a good seafood restaurant. Really good oysters. Cochons.
Cochon. Did you do Cochon or Cochon Butcher?
Just Cochon. Yeah, the actual.
Cochon Butcher is really good too.
And then Saba, which is another one. We did that twice while we were down there. It is Mediterranean.
Yeah.
It's a very, very, very good. We did that 2 or 3 times. So yeah, there's a couple other good restaurants we went to while we're down there. Copper Vine, which is a good wine bar that's down there, closer actually to the venue. So food was good and time was good. I mean, it's a long time, so you got to kind of vary it up while you're down there.
Where's Saba at? I'm looking.
So we're on Magazine Street.
Yeah.
Saba, S-A-B-A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one.
What do you do after this? Okay, so how long are you there afterwards?
So we typically, once the game wraps, it's about another hour or 2 before we really can do anything, because there's obviously all of the presentations that happen afterwards, all the trophy stuff, and then there's tons of what we'd call hits or news, news reports that would happen from the field. All the different networks, all the international networks are allowed, including Fox and everything like that, allowed on the field to do post-game shows and wraps and hits. So we can't really touch anything. Everything kind of stays up as who the champions are, and everything in the venue starts kind of going, and the fans are still milling about, obviously, because they're still celebrating. So typically about an hour and a half, 2 hours out, we finally can kind of start wrapping things up, and then we made our way actually out to the field to kind of celebrate, a successful production. Try to get out there every year on the field after the event, take a picture, take a big group picture, grab some confetti. For my collection, and then from there we start breaking down. So
so you actually start that night.
Yeah. I mean, the goal is to try to get out there as quick as possible. I typically and one other person on our crew will stick around for a day, so I was there an extra day afterwards. So a lot of our crew flew out the next morning. I stayed for a whole extra day to kind of break down and get our kits ready, because they're off to the next event, to where I'm going next week actually. So
did you get to meet Taylor?
No, but there's a camera. We had a camera watching. There's always like celebrity cams, so there's Taylor cam or things of that nature.
So was this your first event in the Super Bowl? I mean, Superdome.
I have worked or been at some of their regular season games before.
Gotcha.
And not, I guess not in a working capacity, but in like an overview or an event support capacity. I've been to a few of their events.
I just think New Orleans and the Super Bowl were made for each other.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. It was definitely, I mean, it's a good city for it. I mean, just, for fans to be down there, the food, the entertainment factor and all that stuff. And the venue was great. I mean, it's definitely probably one of the older facilities in the NFL, but they did a really good job. And they've done a really good job over the years keeping things updated and stuff like that.
Is there a bucket list event other than the Super Bowl that you might want to do? Like an Olympics?
You want to talk about? Give us a quick list. We're almost at time, but give us what are some of the things? Some of the other,
some of the
other big things that I do. So we do the Super Bowl every year. I'm about to head next week, which is where the kits are going. I'll meet them out there in Indian Wells or Palm Springs, California, for the BNP tennis tournament. So I'll be out there for that, and then I'll go do the NFL draft. I do the NFL draft as well. So that's a similar amount of time.
Where's that this year?
It'll be in Green Bay this year. It'll be A, cold probably, and B, we'll have to stay an hour away probably.
But you'll have some good cheese.
Yes, good cheese. And then I will typically do also U.S. Open as well. It's a tennis U.S. Open in New York. And then there's a few other scattered things in there. We do a few other NFL events. There's also NFL international events that happen that sometimes we're involved in. So I think, what's something I'd love to do? I think obviously the Olympics would be something really cool.
But did you mention the Masters? You've done the Masters.
We've been at the Masters as well, too. So,
So what's been your favorite event so far?
I mean, I think the Super Bowl is, I feel like obviously the Olympics is big. It happens every 4 years. But the single largest sporting event that happens in one single day is probably the Super Bowl.
And uniquely American.
But
so
you did the U.S. Open.
Yep.
And, what else have you done, big events that you like to brag about all the time? Well, I got to go to this.
And are you available when we're doing the 7th year anniversary of Guys of a
Sure, yeah. You'll bring me back next year to fill in.
I can't afford it.
An old VHS camera you have lying around.
I can't afford Ross equipment. You know what? It's called Ross, don't you?
I don't.
Because all the other 4-letter words are taken. Oh, that works for Sony, Ford, and John Deere. Okay.
Or it's just named after the founder, John
yeah.
Ross. But
Yeah, that could be it.
still a family company. We're
Yeah.
still a family
That's
company.
good.
So
Yeah. Well, cool, man.
Yeah.
You have arrived.
I have arrived. I've made
Yeah.
it.
You're on the podcast. I don't know that this will ever see the light of day.
Yeah, it'll be like -4 viewers probably, or listeners.
Listeners,
So.
yeah. You know, it does tend to go up when Jay's not on. It's because Jay listens when
That's right.
Jay listens to see what we said about him. So, you know.
Yeah, but good having you here.
Yeah, man. Yeah. All right. Well, cool. That'll wrap us for this week. We'll see you next time around.